Hey, Chris.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great today.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
you're always running so busy. I'm glad we got the time to sneak this call in.
Yeah, well, thank you. We have been extremely busy here lately. It's a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and for people who are listening or watching, because this will be on YouTube as well, you run Dark Horse Construction.
Dark Horse Woodworks is what our DBA is. So,
Sorry. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself so everybody knows who you are while we launch into this?
I'm one of the board members with the Cabinet Makers Association. Our shop is a residential shop primarily. We do a little bit of commercial work here and there, but almost always that's for someone that we've done work in their home. Um, and we do modern work. Our work is 99% slab fronts and all the slick modern stuff you see.
Mm. And you're the owner of that.
I am, yes.
How big's your shop?
We've got 6,000 square feet here.
Yeah.
Yep. Been in business since 2000, late 2007, which was just a perfect time to start a business here in the U.S.
Yeah. Didn't you know what was going to happen?
Yeah.
Didn't anybody tell you?
No, that was a little bit of a bad surprise, but it's worked out for us. We
Yeah.
managed to go through and did okay.
How did you what made you decide in late 2007 to even do this, to start your own shop?
So I've been, I've always, obviously, it's always been a hobby. I think it's kind of passed down. My great grandfather was a German cabinet maker. He was the first of our family over. So I think there's something that's just built into me that liked doing this kind of stuff. And I had quit my last real job and was doing more of the construction end of things because I had done that in a previous job, construction management. Somewhere along the line, I was doing a project for someone, and the topic of some cabinetry for that job came up, and who was going to do it, and I said I can do that. I started building that, and about halfway through, I thought, boy, I sure like this a lot better than sheetrock. And
oh yeah, no kidding.
We started transitioning the business at that point over to just cabinetry. That probably took a year and a half or 2 years to be able to be on its own. But I had a big network of friends that knew I could do stuff and were willing to let me take on jobs. And we probably didn't make much money back then because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But
right.
But we've learned,
Yeah.
learned from mistakes. Have had some really good help and friends and advice and mentors along the way, and it's been a beautiful thing for us.
People might not know, but what part of the country are you in?
We're in Atlanta, and we are in the city of Atlanta as well. And I would say most of our work is within the city of Atlanta.
Nice. Yeah, that makes sense, right? So
Yeah.
do you sell through designers or straight to homeowners?
A little bit of both. I mean, most of our work comes from designers and architects and a few builders. But there are a number of homeowners who find us, however homeowners find you, that we work directly for.
Yeah, nice. Well, I see some awards on the wall there. That's kind of neat. Or did you?
Yeah,
you're a wood shop, so I don't know. You might have milled those yourself.
We did not. Wood Diamond Awards from the Cabinet Makers Association. So annually, there's an event that is judged. So your peers are going through, and you submit photos of your projects. And,
right.
These are all the first place finishes we've had. There's 10 or 12 of them up there.
Oh wow, good for you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's how you and I got in touch with each other, because you're the president of the WMA.
CMA. Yes.
Sorry, the CMA. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Amanda's going to be mad.
Sorry, Amanda.
That's okay.
And you've got an interesting take. I mean, the reason we're talking today is because we're trying to educate people on why people should get out of the shop and go and be around other people in our industry.
Yeah, for sure. That has been the biggest change for our business. When like as I said, we struggled early. When I joined the Cabinet Makers Association and started going to some of these events that they would have, a regional event here or there, and other guys who've been in business for years would open up their shops, and you could walk through and ask questions and see how they were doing things. And I have what I would call friends now in in New Jersey, in New York, in Chicago, in Minnesota. And these are all people that I can pick up the phone and call at any moment and say, how do I do this?
Yeah.
And that has changed our business. And, sometimes it's as little as, look how they store that sandpaper. That's a pretty cool idea. Sometimes it's much bigger things, looking at equipment and tools they have and, getting advice.
How to fix something. You can't get the service tech out. I'm sure you guys exchange ideas on how to fix things.
Totally. Yeah, I had one on my edge bander late last year that went wrong, and a friend of mine in Minnesota talked me through how he would do it because he's a bit of a machinist as well. And sure enough, I saved, I'm sure, $2,000 or something for whatever part that would have been.
Oh, and I'll bet you the swear jar didn't have to go up by much.
Nope. Yeah.
Isn't that what you normally do? Go fill the swear jar?
Yeah.
Hey, I've got a question for you. I don't know if you can remember back this far, but you obviously, we know how you started the business. What was going through your head when you decided to join a professional industry association? Why did you even do it?
So I was walking around IWF and just walked by the booth. I don't remember who was in there. I think I know, but anyway, we were struggling with, being profitable. How do we make this? How do we figure out what we should charge? And that's a different question for everybody throughout the country, wherever they are, or a different answer anyway. But got to talking to the guys and realized that here's this big group of people who are willing it's a closed forum, but you can ask a question and they'll help you with just about anything, And the association has there's a class that we give frequently. It's called Pricing and Profitability.
Right.
And that class was okay. I need to get involved with these guys. There's help to be had here.
Yeah. This is one of the questions I encounter a lot with people in the industry too, in all industries. It's not just in the finished wood trades. But Dom, I'm already busy. And you want me to go network with a bunch of guys in my industry and talk more about the industry?
Yeah.
And I come back and I say, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my opinion on this is that the stuff that you can learn walking through someone else's shop or, riding around on a bus with 50 guys who own shops, that is more valuable than the time spent sitting in your shop making sure something gets out the door.
Yeah.
Nobody ever has time. There's never time to just pack up and leave the shop. But you're talking about a day or two. And in the big picture, a day or two is nothing compared to what you can learn from other people who are in this business.
Yeah. And I'm going to say something, but I'm going to say it cautiously because I'm a speaker at a lot of these events.
Yeah.
The value of the event is not coming to see the speakers. When I go to conferences, the speakers are nice. That's interesting. Ooh, I can't wait to see that. But where I get my value when I go to a professional association is waiting for the elevator, talking to the person next to me, or having a beer at the bar after.
Yeah.
Or the buffet table. That's, like you said, riding in the bus. It can't be replicated because everybody's there. They realize it's a bigger community. Guard is down, or they're trying to help, genuinely trying to help.
Yeah.
You just can't replace that.
Nope. It is impossible.
Yeah.
It changed my business.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, now you're the president. El Capitan.
Yeah. Well,
how long's the term?
See, 1 year. The board membership is 3-year terms. You can serve 2 in a row. So I became the president back in June, and I'll be through next June, where I could be reelected or someone else could do it too.
See, I already see you're campaigning to have somebody else reelected.
Well,
So when you see a new member coming in, what are some of the questions they have? Because people listening to this might not be in a professional industry association, so they don't know what it's like to walk into a meeting.
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest things we try to stress with new members is get involved right away. And I am one who I joined the group, and for a year I kind of lurked on the forums. I just read messages. I never asked questions. I didn't really answer things, and I probably wasn't getting out of it what I could have until I sort of broke down and said, well, look, this isn't a dumb question. It's just a question. And someone will help me with it. And I think we struggle a little bit with getting people to get themselves involved. Making sure that a new member doesn't just say, "Hey, I'm a member." It's like anything else. You get out what you put into it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's so that's so true, because if you just sit in the background, as you noticed, not you don't glean much. I mean, you get a little bit of value, which is why you go back and keep checking the forums. Forums
Yeah.
is the online chat, right? There's an online community that you can.
Ask a question. There's different, threads you can get involved with, but you can ask what you think is a question that has a silly answer, and 12 different people answer for you in different ways sometimes. When I bought my CNC, it was invaluable. When we bought that machine, and asking people what we need, what tools we need, what accessories, all of that was the information that I got off of that board, so that we were ready when that machine arrived, was amazing.
Yeah. Well, and then you make the most of that purchase, and you cut down how long it takes to install it.
Yeah, I mean, we were up and running full speed 10 days after that thing arrived.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, that's money.
yeah, absolutely.
Money and frustration. I had an interesting conversation with a client about their vertical CNC the other day, and why they're swapping it out, and what they wish they'd known before they bought it.
Yeah, what they wish they knew, that they couldn't do edge boring.
No. They're quite a large shop, so that kind of machinery is taken care of. The setup time
Oh,
for the vertical wasn't calculated. It still runs pieces at the same rate, but
yeah.
the setup time on the back and the front added to the total production time.
Oh, yeah. Yep. You got to load these separately, all that.
Yeah, and it's really not paying for the floor space it's saving.
Yeah.
I'm paraphrasing a very long conversation that we had, but they're actually swapping it out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, those are the kind of things that you'll get. When we were at AWFS last year, we had a private tour through one of the manufacturers' booths, and we were able to walk through. And there's 20 people in in our group, and you could someone in the group had almost every machine that was there, and would start saying, "Oh, there's this and this." That stuff's invaluable, and those machines are not inexpensive. You don't want to make a $100,000 mistake. That's for sure.
Right. It's not art that's just going to sit there. You want that thing producing. And so when somebody says, you can do edge detail on that by just doing this,
Yeah.
whatever the answer is, that saves you time and money. And I think, one of the things that I hear, and I deal with, this is going to surprise listeners and maybe you too, Chris, but I don't just talk to cabinet makers. I talk to all sorts of tradespeople. Sure. And the ones that go to their industry associations are always the leaders of the pack. They're the top of the pot. Because they're looking, they're hungry for more info, both to give and to get.
Yeah.
But they want to make sure they're getting the most out of the day, because they're already not seeing their family. They're already working too hard. They're dealing with jobs where they're pulling out their hair like, how did we win this? Why did we win this job? There must be something wrong. And so they have to make sure it goes through whatever their manufacturing piece is, wherever they do that, as quickly and efficiently as possible. So they're always looking for the edge. And that's what these kind of things bring. Joining an association and networking with the right people brings you that, doesn't it?
Sure does.
Yeah.
Believer, that's for sure.
Shop tours. Tell me something cool that you learned on a shop tour. I mean, I know you kind of mentioned one at the AWFS going through a booth, but
I tell you one, we had an issue with our CNC with how when it was moving around and the dust collection and whatnot, and there was a shop that had basically a big ball valve type ball joint, so that it swiveled, a swivel joint on the top and on the bottom. And we had one on the top, but not on the bottom. And I saw that and I was like, well, yeah, that just makes sense. And put one on the bottom, and it now works perfectly just the way you'd always hoped it would. And it was one of those simple little things that, we have a little scraper in the shop for when we're doing finishes that it's a carbide scraper that if you get a little bugger of finish in it, and you can just kind of scrape it off, and then the next coat it's perfectly flat. And that thing was $75. I didn't even know something like that existed. It saves us hours.
Yeah, a solution, a penny's solution saves thousands of dollars in man hours and customer feedback. And
yeah. Finishing is an area where it was not my strong suit. So that's an area where we've learned a lot from other shops and how they do things, and the products they're using. I mean, we're using some products now that I never necessarily, I don't know that I would have tried without having talked to other people who are using them and giving me the benefits. They're a lot more expensive up front, but boy, we don't get callbacks. We don't, it's saving us in the end.
Yeah, it's the bigger picture. That's what keeps coming up is the people that join industry associations are doing well, but want to do just a bit better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's new products, new ways of doing things, new applications,
Yeah,
$75 scrapers to solve a $10,000 problem. I would do that all day long.
absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, I am a huge believer. I flew up to Minnesota a month or so ago for one of our regional events, just because it was a guy that I've known for a while, and I wanted to see his shop. But there was other shops we went to, and it was fantastic.
Yeah. Well, especially when everybody's there with the same intent. I mean, this is just how we do it, right? And people are going to see things in your shop, and you're going to see things in their shop. So
Yeah.
easy. Just how people, I've seen systems for holding pin nailers, or how people use their Kaizen foam in really interesting ways to store tools that are, minimize the amount of movement that your tech has to do on a bench.
Yep. There's a shop that has a wire strung from one end to the other in their spray booth that they can hang their gun on no matter where they are in the booth. Just turn around and hang it on that wire, and it's like, yeah, that's genius and simple.
Again,
Yeah.
that's a $10 solution to
just save steps.
Yeah.
And that steps are time.
Yeah, every single step is a saving of money, time, and effort.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fantastic. I read an article that you wrote about why people should get out of the office, and we've actually covered a lot of the things. Bounce ideas off other people. That's one reason to get out. Increase your personal network. I mean, it sounds like you know people all over the place now from.
I really do. And not just because I'm on the board. I mean, I got to know people before that by going to our annual banquet at each of the big shows, AWFS or IWF. We have a banquet of members are invited, and standing around for 3.5 hours with a drink in your hand and eating food, and man, you get to talk to guys who own shops, and you can always find somebody that's either whatever size, bigger, smaller, whatever you need. There's someone there who's doing the same thing you are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and especially people who've already bought a piece of equipment that you've got, that's invaluable, because you can rely on the sales rep, the manufacturer's rep, and nothing against the rep.
Yeah.
But there's something. What's that, Chris?
Their job is to sell you something.
Yeah. Yeah.
No matter what. I'm on so when IWF is here, the tour came through here last year officially. The year before, we sort of had an after hours. If you want to go see Dark Horse, go see Dark Horse. And we'll do it again next year here as well. And I tell everybody when they walk in here, it's like, look, don't get on the bus and start talking about something you saw that I'm not doing the way you think you should do it. Tell me, because you're not going to hurt my feelings. I want to know.
Yeah.
And I mean, to me, that's super valuable. I have a few things I'll have to do before next August, because there was some came up and I was like, oh yeah, I need to do that. And here we are a year later and I haven't. But.
I'm done. Well, that's a good system for keeping yourself accountable. But again, that's why people at the top of their industry, whether it's you or anybody else, they take part in associations and hang out with their peers, is because that's the most valuable insight you could get.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can't beat it.
No better way to build your business.
Yeah.
Working 60 hours a week in your shop doesn't build your business.
Yeah. It gives you an excuse to get out of the shop.
Yeah, which is always a good thing.
Right. I mean,
I come back energized as well. When I go to these events, you're always tired. You're always working too much. And you go to one of these things and you talk to other people who, even if we all have the same problems, and you get back and, you just feel better about everything. Personally, I do anyway. I'm like ready to go when I hit the ground.
Yeah. New ideas, fresh, invigorated, new energy.
Totally.
Well, Chris, if people want to get in touch with you or find out more about CMA, we should tell them how to do that.
Yeah, sure. You can always email me at chris@darkhorsewoodworks.com. Or you can go for the association. If you want to go directly to Amanda Conger is our executive director, and her email is director@cabinetmakers.org.
Cabinetmakers.org.
And she can send you information about membership. Feel free to get in touch with me and ask questions. I'm an open book. There's a guy in Atlanta that joined last week that came down for a couple hours in my shop. He's going to come in, I think, tomorrow, and just to kind of see how we do. He's just starting his business. And I was like, yeah, sure, come on down. So he's going to come down and hang out with us and do some work.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
The more people you know, the more influence you have, the more your network spreads. It's
Yeah.
That's the real power of today, is not in the social media where you and I could be Facebook friends and not even know each other. The human connection is more important than anything else.
Yeah, and I think in our case with the organization, at least, we're a qualified group of shop owners. It's not just a website that anybody with a table saw in their basement can respond to. These are all owners of shops. So
yeah,
that we think is one of our uniqueness.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of social networks and meeting each other, I'm going to be there speaking at your next event in a couple of months.
Yeah, the 2020 in early March in Chicago. Should be a great show.
Yeah.
It's not really a show. It's classes and shop tours as well. So
yeah. Well, hopefully I'm able to bring more information about that through different episodes of the podcast, wherever's possible. We have to educate each other. The most important thing now is the knowledge that business owners have about how to grow their business, because most of us didn't go to school specifically to start a shop. We came from wherever else we came from, and now we're just...
Most of us are really good at building something, not necessarily running a business.
That's why people listen to this podcast, Chris. That's what we talk about here.
Yeah. Well, I've listened, so I'm a fan.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to join us. I really do. And I'm impressed that, you've got multiple of those awards there from a group of your peers. That's the kind of reality people like to see, not the blah, blah, blah BS that you might hear in some marketing, ad. So
yeah, I tell you, when we won the first one, it really, it still feels great, but that first one was like, wow, we are doing something right here. So,
yeah, and your employees must love it too, right? Recognition for everything they've been doing.
They totally love it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate your time. This has been really valuable.
Excellent. Well, thank you for having me.
All right. Have a great day, Chris. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you. See you.